10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds afterwards, and then jump right in. Oh boy, that countdown, lovely. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Hi, everyone. All right, we'll give it another couple seconds, give people some time to jump in. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara, and I am from Sercante, and I'm so excited for you to join us today here at Mardreamin. Before we get started, I do have a couple of housekeeping items to cover. Mainly, number one, yes, this will be recorded. We will share the recording with y'all afterwards via email. It'll also be available on demand after the event is over. If you have any questions at all, we will be doing a Q&A, so feel free to place that in the chat. There's a Q&A tab right above. And yes, use the chat. Send us emojis, GIFs, all the things. We'd love to hear from you. So we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker today, Ed Gray, who has an awesome session ready for y'all, all about why nonprofits are embracing Marketing Cloud engagement. So I will hand it over to you, Ed.
Yeah, thank you, Tamara. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here and to share this knowledge with people who need it. Yeah, so we're going to talk about nonprofits and Marketing Cloud and why it's a good fit. We're also going to, how do I, on the wrong screen. All right, yeah, so a little bit about myself. I lead a marketing practice here at Arcus. So we're a partner, Salesforce partner, focused primarily in the nonprofit industry. I'd been dabbling in communications and tech most of my career, and about 10 years ago, I decided to really make that my focus. So I started working at a communications firm that focused on elections and nonprofit advocacy. And that's where, I kind of really saw the need for being able to use technology better. I mean, it, started out just setting up custom domains for emails and mobile responsive websites and so on. And eventually that led to email marketing and digital advertising, which then led me to Marketing Cloud. And that's all I've been working in for about 4 years. And for the past 3 years, I've really only been working with nonprofits and education organizations. Thank you to our sponsors for allowing us to share this information with everyone. It's really great, to be a part of the community and learn from each other. All right, our agenda for today is, first I wanted to talk about kind of changing the narrative around nonprofits. I think this is really important. And then we'll get into why nonprofits would even use Marketing Cloud. The user interface is a bit dated. The product does cost a good amount. And so, there really should be a reason that they would want to use this tool as opposed to other options. We'll talk about the common use cases for when I recommend Marketing Cloud. And then we'll get into a demo that's mostly focusing on enabling non-technical users and what they can use Marketing Cloud to get more value out of than just sending to an email list and so on. Then we'll have a summary of what that demo was before going into a Q&A. All right, so one of the things that we encounter a lot when working with nonprofits is this belief that they don't deserve to have nice things, including technology. They don't deserve to have the resources to have a marketing and tech team that are supported. These are organizations that are really tackling some of the hardest problems in our society. And they can do hard things. They can adopt technology. They can be successful. I've seen it happen. Perhaps not as often as I would like, but really kind of like, changing, the perspective and being kind of a cheerleader for these organizations and their ability to do hard things. And, a lot of times what I run into is this thinking that, everything has to start out automated and perfect and complex, when really, we can start small. Not everything has to be automated um, right away. We can do manual things to kind of prove the value and then invest in automating them later. Um, and then, yeah, kind of a focus on enabling non-technical users. There's no denying that the user interface in Marketing Cloud is a bit dated and intimidating and makes it a little harder for people to adopt it. But if they can get past that, there's a lot you can do with declarative features. I try to avoid situations where, there's really the non-technical people have to go to some super user, whether that's an internal resource or a consultant, for everything they need to do in the platform. And so really kind of focusing on um, the things they could do themselves as much as possible. And that's going to be the focus of our demo some. But first, I wanted to get into, why a nonprofit would use Marketing Cloud. If you're just needing a marketing automation tool for fundraising and sending to an email list or promoting an event, then account engagement or Pardot or HubSpot or whatever, those will all work really well for you. Marketing Cloud can do that too. But where I feel like it really shines is, communications around programs and education. And, the reason that it can solve for these problems kind of comes down to the unique identifier not being the email address. There's a lot of shared email addresses in households. And so really being able to use that contact ID from Salesforce as the unique identifier so that you can still personalize content for that specific contact, regardless of whether they share an email address with someone else in Salesforce. The other thing that Marketing Cloud can do that a lot of these other platforms, there's some workarounds with flows and API calls and so on. But Marketing Cloud is sort of built to send, contact data to other contacts. And that's something that, comes up in programs and education quite frequently. Salesforce has done a really good job of supporting the Nonprofit Success Pack and other education packages. They're now, kind of building industry-specific clouds around them. But until there's more adoption of those tools, we're still going to be using what's known as NPSP. And this comes with a lot of really interesting roll-up fields, as well as custom-built reports that we can easily use to build audiences and personalize content inside of Marketing Cloud. The other awesome competitive advantage to Marketing Cloud is the awesome Trailblazer community. I think, this event in particular speaks to that, but if you go to any Dreaming event or Salesforce event or Slack channel, you'll come to realize that a lot of it's just, we help each other out regardless of, whether we're clients or competitors or whatnot. We just all want to see each other succeed and use these products better. All right. And before we move on, I had an example of a small client that we worked with at Arcus. They're a small regional summer camp program. They had a Salesforce admin and an IT manager. That was like their entire tech team. And they hired us to do a very small implementation. And, they had a complex data model. And this is where you'll need some technical expertise to build out, some of these contact models. But they needed to communicate to group leaders who were leading the camps or in charge of chaperoning the children who were attending the camps. And, they might need to collect allergy information or send out, pickup confirmations and so on. And that could be really difficult when other platforms can really just send to contacts about themselves. They kind of struggle with sending to contacts about other contacts. They also needed to communicate with parents of those children, as well as the people running the camp, about those enrolled children. The children could be enrolled in multiple camps at the same time, and their parents could be part of those camps. Not all the camps were, just for children. There were family camps as well. So, it was a really complex data model that I feel like is a good example of, one, like small nonprofits, they can use this tool, and they can use it effectively to kind of solve for some complex use cases. Okay. Before we get into the demo, I did kind of want to summarize like the common use cases that I come across, and where I particularly listen, during discovery to recommend Marketing Cloud. And it's where members of the same household share an email address but could be enrolled in different programs or classes, so on. It's when you're needing to email parents, teachers, advisors, case managers, etc., about multiple children, students, enrollees, and so on. And we're not going to cover this today, but one of the benefits of Marketing Cloud is it can kind of loop through data in Salesforce, such as the events objects, to dynamically generate lists of multiple upcoming classes, exhibits, and events, and so on. Okay, demo time. I'm going to stop sharing this one and start sharing this one. Cool. All right, so one of the underutilized features in Marketing Cloud that I think could make it easier for nonprofits to get more value out of the tool are synchronizing profile attributes with Salesforce. Hopefully it decides to not take forever to load. There we go. So, one of the benefits of the Nonprofit Success Pack for Salesforce is it creates these excellent roll-up fields regarding membership levels, when they join, when their membership might expire, total donation levels, and so on. And these all roll up to the contact in the account. And we're able to synchronize those attributes inside of Marketing Cloud and use them to personalize content by using these profile attributes. And you'll see I've already created some here where essentially I'm just synchronizing with the Salesforce field. You can map either to the lead or to the contact or account. You'll see all the different fields, and you can add custom fields and so on to it that you're able to synchronize with. And, there you go. You've got, these attributes from Salesforce that are really valuable in terms of personalizing content that you can then use in emails for dynamic content and personalization. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me or anyone else if you need any sort of like technical assistance, like step-by-step on how to do this. I do plan on writing some articles about it soon. But with these profile attributes, we're able to create dynamic content blocks. So I have an example here of a dynamic content block that is simply using those profile attributes to display different content depending on whether they're a member, whether their membership expires in 30 days. We might want to show a different call to action or banner, letting them know that their membership is expiring. And then I have a third option where they're a current member, and so instead of asking them to renew or so on, we're asking them to spread the word about the program, and so on. And so, with that, I was able to put together a quick email, which I'll show you here. Let's see. So, the fake demo I came up with is a kind of a marketing cloud mentorship club. And I have 3 different contacts synchronizing from Salesforce. And depending on, we can go here in the content. So here I am. So if I drag a text block in here and I use this person guy, you're going to notice that all these profile attributes are available to me to help personalize the email rather easily. And then you can build dynamic content blocks within the email itself. And you can use those profile attributes. And here I have an example of sending, if someone's default language is English, we're going to send an English version of this email. And then, if they speak Spanish, we're going to show a Spanish version instead. And we can flip through the examples of the contacts again. So Rose here, she speaks Spanish, and her membership is expiring soon, so we have the renew today type banner and call to action. And here we have someone Jack, who is a member and speaks English, and instead we're sending him, kind of a different call to action using synchronized profile attributes. So again, this is a big, easy win for a lot of nonprofits. I think a lot of times communicating in multiple languages, it's something that could, improve the impact they're having in their community and with their stakeholders rather easily. And we could do that simply by synchronizing profile attributes and then creating dynamic content blocks. And it's all through drag and drop and clicking. There's no real coding going on here. There is some setup around automating imports to update the values in Marketing Cloud. And again, you're always going to need some sort of technical expert to kind of implement some of the stuff for you. But once it's there, hopefully your non-technical users at least know what's capable of and know how to follow these steps to kind of get these easy wins and getting a lot more value out of Marketing Cloud. So one of the other things that I think is underutilized, and again, I think it comes down to this idea that everything has to start out perfect and automating and everything has to scale right away. That's really not the case. I work with a lot of people who, they get Marketing Cloud, we do an 8-month implementation, and at the end of it, they're just sending to newsletter lists and have a new donor welcome series. And so there's a lot of easy wins that remain to be had, kind of thing. And I do want to make sure that we can focus on those things more. And so one of the things that I think we could be doing a lot more of is it's possible to send directly to Salesforce campaigns inside of Marketing Cloud. So when we go to select our audience, we've got the Salesforce campaign folder here. You'll see the campaigns that are available in our synchronized Salesforce account. We can just drag the Salesforce mentorship program. So this is a campaign that I had created in Salesforce, and I also created some custom membership status is, for example, invited, no show, registered, and attended. And so if we wanted to send a reminder to the people who were invited but weren't registered yet, we've got our audience just like that for that. If we wanted to send a survey after they attended, we've got our audience just like that. And again, if you're hosting like dozens of events or something, like, sure, it makes sense to automate these things, and those are possible. But I think kind of like showing the value you can get out of this right away, and then making the case to properly invest the time and the effort into automating those things. So just starting here can be a big, easy win for a lot of organizations. Okay, I've got 10 more minutes. I should mention, I guess I'm probably going to run out of time to show it. So one of the other great things about NPSP are the reports that it builds for you. There are all these wonderful reports that get built for you, that build lists essentially of people who donated last year, but they haven't donated this year, new members, open opportunities. I mean, there's really like all these really valuable reports here. And these can rather easily be turned into audiences inside of Marketing Cloud using the import feature here in interactions inside of Email Studio. You'll notice if I come to import here, come to create, I'm not going to go through the entire process, but we can flip this from enhanced FTP to Salesforce objects and reports. We can go to report type, select, and we're going to be able to see all those reports that are available to us. Let's see, here's that new member report. I can hit OK, and essentially I can just build a data extension out of it. And with the fields I need. So most of the reports, the NPSP reports, you're going to need to add the case safe ID. That's so, as I mentioned, email address isn't the unique identifier inside of Marketing Cloud. It's that case safe ID, and most of these reports don't have the case safe ID. So you do need to add that field. A lot of them might not have the email address field, so you might need to add that too. But again, all these wonderful NPSP reports can, be turned into audiences inside of Marketing Cloud for sending and for journeys without needing to code. It's just following steps and clicking on things. Okay. So one of the other things I really wanted to call out, for nonprofits and non-technical users in ways that they can get more value out of Marketing Cloud are some of the declarative features inside of Journey Builder. One of those being Path Optimizer. So Path Optimizer is a way to A/B test your content without needing to create new versions of a journey. It's pretty self-explanatory. You essentially drag it onto the canvas, and let's see. And you get two different paths by default. You can add several more paths if you want, but you come here to configure a winner. We could do email engagement, so we could do click rate or open rate or unsubscribe rate. I would generally recommend picking click rate. You can and then you can tell it how many days to evaluate the audiences that are running through there down the different paths, and whichever one ended up with the highest click rate after those 3 days. Any new members in those journeys are going to go down the winning path. And then essentially you just drag in email activities into this Path Optimizer, and they can be the same email. So inside of Journey Builder, inside of the delivery options, we're able to change the subject line and pre-header text. Let's see. Oops. It's message configuration here. So you can essentially you don't need to build two different versions of the email. Inside Journey Builder here in the message configuration, we can try different subject lines and different pre-header texts to test open rates and click rates. So it's a really easy way to incorporate more A/B testing into your sends, which I highly encourage people to do. So that's Path Optimizer. One of the other things I wanted to call out was engagement splits. So this is where, you give, you select an email, and then you can create paths declaratively for depending on whether they open the email, whether they click the email, or whether they bounced. And so again, this doesn't require coding. If you want to send people down different paths depending on whether they clicked an email and are more engaged or less engaged, we're able to do that in Journey Builder here with the declarative features. And one of the more interesting use cases I wanted to call out, particularly for programs communications, where it's really important. If it's undelivered to someone, we need to know that and try to chase down another way to contact them. This isn't just another marketing blast or newsletter. It could be information about, COVID shutdown or so on. And so one of the other things I really wanted to call out are these sales and service cloud activities here in Journey Builder. We're able to essentially update Salesforce records in Journey Builder itself. And so, we have this path for people that bounced and people who didn't bounce. Essentially, I'm using a Salesforce activity to update a custom Boolean I created on the contact field of is bounced or not. And then we could build a report and go through that every day or whenever we had the time, and kind of go through that list and try to find alternative ways to contact that person. So, I'm going to stop there and see if we have any questions.
We do have questions. We do. So I'm going to go ahead and put these up on our screen here. Let's go ahead and share. So this was a question that was asked in the chat, and I put it in our Q&A. For small nonprofits, is there a shared email address issue in order to address that by having a unique?
Yes. So in case it wasn't entirely clear, today was mostly about Marketing Cloud for nonprofits if they have Salesforce CRM and that contact ID. Now you can use in Marketing Cloud we can create the unique identifier from any field. It doesn't have to be the email address. So if you have another CRM that's like creating a unique identifier for you, then you could use that inside of Marketing Cloud to kind of avoid the problems of shared email addresses as well.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and share this next one. The deduplicate subscribers checkbox. Does it dedupe by email or contact ID?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a got you. I'm pretty sure it dedupes by contact ID. But we could, let me get back to you on that one. If you want to reach out on LinkedIn, I can kind of experiment inside of our demo account and get you a firm answer on that.
All right. And we have one that says, how can you have email to display contact's owner as sender? How can you have email to display contact?
So I think you're essentially talking about a dynamic sender profile. And one of the things I didn't get to show was using a profile attribute to essentially have like a relationship manager, like title and email address. And essentially, it requires some AMP script, but instead of the sender profile, we can call one of the content blocks that is personalizing the relationship manager for that contact. And then, it will appear as if it's coming from their email address and their from name. And if you want to just like Google dynamic sender profiles, I'm sure you'll find some good content out there about it already.
All right, I know we have one more question, but we have about 30 seconds left. So I'll go ahead and I'll put this question in the general chat as well if anybody wants to pick that up. But thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you to Ed for this incredible session. Thank you to our sponsors for their support. Without them, this would not be possible. We do have some great sessions that are coming up in a few minutes, so feel free to jump into the agenda and check out what sessions you want to see next. Thank you so
All right.
much, everyone. Thank
Thanks,
you so much,
everyone.
Ed.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.